Comics in me. Comics in me. The hell? Trick or treat! Dude, I'm trying to shoot an intro. Aww. Happy Halloween! As usual, please beware of spoilers. Due to its rating, this comic may involve graphic images and language. Hey guys, it's the Halloween episode. Well, you probably already knew that because I said Happy Halloween, but I'm going to say it again because I didn't know how else to start this. So welcome, friends and soon-to-be friends, to Comics and Me with your host, Jason. Today we're talking about 30 Days of Night, written by Steve Niles and Ben Templesmith. I really think I got those names right, and if I did, I'm really excited. So yeah, I got that going for me. Only in editing did Jason find out. He said Steven, not Steve. He can still not do names correctly. 30 Days of Night originally came out in 2002 under IDW Publishing, and at first from what I was reading, he went around presenting it as a comic, but no one would really bite the script, no one really wanted it, so then he changed it to a movie script, and still no one wanted it, so he kind of put it away for a while. Then he finally took it to IDW, and they loved it. I don't know what changed, like maybe he didn't go to them before, but they loved it, and yeah, I don't know if I would say bought it, but they were like, yeah, we'll make this, because I know him and Ben are the co-owners with IDW, so all three of them own it, if I recall. It was funny, because I didn't even know about it when it first came out, because, I mean, I was pretty young then. I was actually really young then, but we're not going to get into my age here. When I first saw some stuff for it when the movie came out in 2007, I remember seeing the poster for it hanging up when I went to go see another movie at the mall, and I'm like, oh man, that's a really cool poster. Like, I wonder what this is all about. So I went and saw it with some friends. I believe we snuck in, imagine that, because we were way too young to get in, and it was terrifying, but I loved it. It was amazing. The movie was awesome, and I'm like, oh man, it's based on a comic. Like, I never knew that, and I got it from the local library, and I remember reading it and be like, dude, this is brutal. This is awesome. I really like this. And to top it all off, it's based in Barrow, Alaska, which I've never been to, but I am from Alaska, and right now I'm living in Alaska. So I'm like, oh man, this hits close to home. It hits close to my heart. So I don't really read too much of vampire stuff. There are some good vampire stuff, but there is a lot of bad, and just vampires are cool, but they never really hit it off on me. I do like how a lot of different people have different mythos, and there are some different mythos in this story. And the first series of 30 Days of Night was only a 3-issue one, and I don't think it was an ongoing then. I think it was probably like a mini, but then it became an ongoing, which it was done well enough to where it could have just been one and done, or it could have been an ongoing, so I'll give him that because that was some really good writing. And on the writing note, the vampires were a little different, and they were more bloodthirsty, and that's what I liked about the comic, and that is what's rung out to me in the movie too. Like, the vampires they put in this are unforgiving. Like, they're brutal and just deadly, and when I do read vampires or watch vampires, that is the type of vampire I like, where it's just like no holds, just like blood, gore, and just crazy vampire stuff. The cool thing with it also being in Alaska and being in the cold was the vampires, their smell got messed up by the cold. Like, they couldn't smell as well, so they couldn't sense the people as well. And it's like, oh man, that's a really cool concept to where you can kind of, I guess, better term for it is neuter the vampires' powers, so then they're not as powerful. I mean, they still got their strength and everything, but with the cold, they can't smell as well. And it's like, oh man, I actually really like that idea. That's a smart way to kind of make them not as so powerful so people can actually defeat them. I don't know if this was Steve Niles' first comic, but it kind of, when I did look up the history about it, it kind of hinted that it was one of the first ones he did that actually got big. Like, he did some before, but it never really hit off. But this one just like blew up out of nowhere, and it really did, because I remember going through Hot Topic, and they always have pop culture stuff, but I remember when I was younger, when the movie came out, and going through Hot Topic, and they had t-shirts for the poster and a bunch of other things, and I'm like, oh, what is this? Like, that's cool. And looking back at it now, it does have a big cult following. Like, a lot of people love the movie. It had 1 or 2 direct-to-DVD movies, and I saw one of them, which wasn't actually bad, but it does have a following, and they even rebooted. Yeah, reboot would be a good thing. They rebooted the comic in 2017, done by the same writer. Not the same artist, but the same writer. And that one sold well. I haven't read it, but I kind of want to, because it's just, new stuff. It's an updated lore and just a whole new reboot about it. And it's like, okay, that's cool, especially since it's the same writer and he just probably wanted to fix some stuff up. Now the art, whew boy, the art's amazing. Like I was saying in my last video, the Sabrina one, art can really benefit or destroy a story. And I realized that more with reading some horror stuff lately. Like, that matters a lot in horror. Because if you have, like, a kid, normal one, it's not so fun. But when you have, like, brutal, like, sketchy art, I guess, like, where it's kind of sketched more and just more dark sense and just more chaotic, it fits the horror theme really well. Like, in this case, like, the art was kind of scratchy, but in a good way. Like, I don't really know how to explain that, but it is very, like, there was a lot of marks on it, and it looked really haunting. Like, it was kind of terrifying. It's like, oh man, this is cool. And the cool thing was, there was colors. It wasn't black and white, but the red really outshined the color red for, like, blood, guts, brains, all that stuff. So you had the color red just showing a lot and showing the gore and stuff, and I was like, oh man, that really highlights the brutal nature of the vampire, and like, that's really cool to look at and very visually appealing. And then same with the art side, there was the normal speech bubbles, and the humans had normal speech bubbles, and it honestly looked out of place in the beginning. I'm like, man, the speech bubbles really don't do the art justice. It does not match. But then when we meet the vampires, they have like scratchier speaking bubbles, and I'm like, oh man, that I see why they went with the humans being like that. Like, that's really cool. And now I like, that's awesome. Like, okay, I can get behind this, like showing the different speech, and then you know who's a vampire and who's not. Like, it from something I was originally going to critique saying it did not fit. Whenever I read it again, I was like, oh no, I see this vampires are scratch. So I don't even remember that from reading it in the past. Another thing with the art that was really cool was there was hidden messages in between some of the pages. Not even in between, but actually on some of the art. Some of them had just like, oh, fights begun, or just small things like that you kind of have to look at to see. Like, my favorite one was badass time. I'm like, okay, that's funny. Like, I like that. And then even the vampires had their names above them. Sometimes it was kind of hard to read. And I mean, when it's a name, you kind of want to see it more. But it wasn't so bad. But still, it's kind of like, oh, like, I want to know this guy's name, but I can't read it because it's a little too scratchy. And it's funny because the movie came out in 2007, and then Twilight came out in 2008, so we got a really badass vampire film, and then we got Twilight, so I think it kind of came out at the right time, funny enough. And yeah, I really enjoyed the book, and it's just funny because I've never had it to where a movie based on a comic was what made me read the comic. But this one, when I was younger, I just never even heard of it until I saw the movie, and then I heard about the book, and then I was like, oh yeah, no, that's awesome. Now I want to read this book. So, you know, I have to do a little critique on it to use images and all that stuff, so not to get in trouble. I would rather not get in trouble. So my main critique was, because I really did like this, and it was only 3 issues, and it was only like 90 or 100 pages, like it was pretty fast, and that was really good. Pacing was good. My main critique was I couldn't read some of the dialogue from the vampires. Yeah, it looked cool with the scratchiness and all that stuff, but especially the stranger that comes in, I could barely read him. And I don't know if that's because I reread it on the digital edition and maybe it wasn't focused all the way or something, but it was hard to read, and that kind of killed it because I had to keep rereading it. And then even sometimes I still couldn't see what they were saying. And I'm like, oh man, I see it stylistically, it looks cool, but it just kind of hurts. I can't read it that well. So as always, thanks for watching. I really appreciate you watching this video and seeing what I think of the book. And you know what? If it makes you want to read the book, go ahead and read it and tell me what do you think. And if you're enjoying this week-long of videos, I know it's only Wednesday, but we have 2 more videos. And if you're enjoying my other videos, just please like it. Let me know. Let me know what I should change, or let me know what's good, what's bad. Let me know how life's going. Just talk to me and just let me know how it's going. And please subscribe too if you want to see some of my more videos that I'm going to come out with, because I do plan on doing more and I do enjoy doing this. I do need a new computer though, because my computer keeps crashing whenever I try to make videos, so that's the only downside. But you know, as always, have a good week, have a good weekend, have a good day, have a good month, have a good life. Like, enjoy comics, enjoy everything, and just be happy and talk to other people about things you enjoy.